Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Today is Wednesday, almost said the wrong day, June 10th, 2026, and this is the regular meeting for the Litchfield Elementary School District Governing Board. I hereby call this meeting to order. The first item on the agenda will be the Pledge of Allegiance. If you could please stand and join us. Thank you. Next, we will take a moment of silent reflection. Okay, next we will move on since we have no requests to speak. We will move on to the adoption of the agenda and consideration of consent agenda. I'll go through and see if anybody has any items that they wish to pull. Ms. Moran,
None for me, thank you.
Mr. Mikes,
None, please.
Mr. Owens,
None for me.
Ms. Wallace, did you have anything?
No, thank you.
I have none either. If someone would like to make a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
A second.
Having a motion for Mr. Owens and a second for Mr. Mikes, I'll call for the vote. Ms. Moran,
Yay.
Mr. Mikes,
Yay.
Mr. Owens,
Yay.
Ms. Wallace.
Yay.
I'm also yay. Motion passes. Okay, next we will move on to our action items, which will be administrative recommendation for the position of Assistant Superintendent of Programs and Instruction. This will be by Dr. Davidson and Executive Director Satterfield.
Madam President, members of the Governing Board, Dr. Davidson, esteemed colleagues, and others joining us for this evening's meeting, I am pleased to share that we had 18 candidates that were considered for the position of Assistant Superintendent of Programs and Instruction. After review, 10 of these individuals were invited to share a video introducing themselves, as well as to complete the in-basket activities. As a result, 5 of these individuals were invited to participate in the initial interview. 1 withdrew, and we moved forward interviewing 4 candidates. Of those 4, 2 rose to the top and participated in the second round of interviews. Tonight, I am pleased to bring forward for your consideration Miss Bridget Stockwell, who will be joining us upon your approval as the Assistant Superintendent of Programs and Instruction.
And Madam President, just to add a few words, Ms. Stockwell tonight is here with her son Logan and her husband Brad, as well as some additional Litchfield community friends out there. And so we're just excited to certainly bring her resume and the nomination as an opportunity for her to join our team. She is prepared to answer any questions you might have at the podium if you wish. So thank you again for your consideration tonight.
Ms. Moran, did you have any questions or comments?
I do not have any questions, but I just want to say that I've heard very good things from the interview process. Of course, I've also reviewed your resume, and I believe this will go favorably. So I'm going to go ahead and say welcome aboard.
Mr. Mikes?
No questions. Just excited to see all the experience that you'll bring to the district, and I think you'll be a great fit for the big Litchfield family we have here. So thank you.
Mr. Owens?
No questions. Just you have big shoes to fill, but luckily those shoes are hanging out with us still. So appreciate you.
Ms. Wallace?
No questions. Just look forward to working with you, as this executive cabinet is who we get to hear from the most. I look forward to hearing from you and getting new eyes on different aspects of our district. And we just thank you for being willing to take this position, and excited to work with you.
I have no questions either. I'm going to preemptively agree with the welcome to our district, and say that it is great that you're going to be able to continue working with Dr. Benjamin. And I love that we will, after we vote, not have to learn a new name. So that will be awesome. Anyways, with that, if someone would like to make a motion.
I'll move to approve Bridget Stockwell as the Assistant Superintendent of Programs and Instruction.
I will second.
Having a motion from Mr. Mikes and a second from Ms. Moran, I'll call for the vote. Ms. Moran,
Yay.
Ms. Wallace.
Yay.
Sorry, I mixed it up. Mr. Mikes,
Yay.
Mr. Owens.
Yay.
I'm also a yay. Motion passes. Welcome to the Litchfield family.
Madam President, may we take a group photo like we've done the last few meetings?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
So welcome to the Litchfield family officially now. We are very excited to have you here. Thank you so much for coming and joining us. I hope that this will be a nice, pleasant experience for you. With that, we are going to move on now to the discussion items, which will be the career exploration, which will be by Director Combs and Dr. Benjamin.
Madam President, I took over Dr. Benjamin's spot real quick.
Okay.
Just wanted to welcome Laura to the podium there. This is has been a work in progress for probably the last 2 years, really trying to think about how we can work through career exploration across our elementary campuses, knowing that that is kind of the talk of the town in education right now, that idea of career readiness. And we're starting to play, and I'm excited to see, Laura, with all the work that you and the committee have put together. And board, this is a conversation we've had together as well, too. So please ask those hard questions, and let's think about where we want to go on behalf of our students. So thank you, Laura.
I asked if I was on. All right, Madam President and governing board members, it is my pleasure to talk to you tonight about the work that we're doing around career exploration. And like Dr. Davidson said, we really did start this work about 2 years ago, and it's really, we dipped our toe in this year, and we are going to be swimming next year. And so I'm excited to show you the work that we've been doing. So the director of tech cannot make the work. I'm pushing it. Okay, so the purpose of this presentation is to inform our governing board of the work that we've been doing around K-5 career development and also our middle school career exploration course that we are developing. It aligns with our Litchfield learner profile by providing students with meaningful career-oriented experiences and fostering awareness, exploration, and future readiness. You can see there which traits it lines up with. It really does fit beautifully in our Litchfield learner profile, as everything that we will be doing in this realm really helps our students prepare for what they're doing here, but also when they leave us as well. Oh, where am I pointing? There we go. All right. So we really thought of it in 3 realms: inspiration, connection, and readiness. And so everything that we've been doing, we really have thought about it in these 3 terms. And then also connecting those to our Litchfield learner profile as well. So that is the work that we've been doing around those 3 pillars. So this fall, I had the opportunity to go to the West Valley Summit, Spark Summit, which was a group of West Valley leaders who are starting to really do work around that middle school career exploration. And they brought in some students from the high school area to give us that student voice. And you can see here some of the things that they said. And this is the why of why we need to do this. This is not going to be a nice to do, it's a need to do for our students. So you can see the 4 students from different middle and high schools all stated that they didn't have any exposure to career exploration in middle school. They said, I did not have any high school. I didn't have any in high school, and it seemed too far away when I was in middle school, even though it's really only a couple of years away. And they start making those decisions January of their 8th grade year about what kind of pathway they would like in high school. I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do for college? So those were some of the statements that they said. When I went to high school, I didn't have any motivation or goal. And that one just really, truly broke my heart. They came into high school and they really didn't know why they were going and what they were going to do there. It would have been helpful for me to create my schedule better in high school if I had had those. And the one student even mentioned, because of what he's doing at West Mech, he would have taken completely different math courses when he first got into high school. But he didn't know that he had a passion for, it was actually water systems. And to move through that path, he's going to need higher level math. And he didn't pick those courses at the beginning. So now he's a junior and he's already behind because he didn't know that he had that passion and he didn't pick the right math courses. And another said, it would have helped me see what we are learning in the classroom into practice. So what I'm learning, why am I learning it, and then seeing it in practice. So some advice that they gave to us was provide more options. And we have heard that in our community surveys. Provide students with more options. Present the lesson and then give a hands-on connection to see it in action. Show kids the career tree. If I'm interested in this, what kind of careers does that interest maybe go into as a career and a pathway? So that Westmec has a really incredible career tree, and their advice to us was show kids what they love to do and how that might translate into what they want to do outside of high school. And the recurring theme was hands-on learning, those authentic learning experiences. So all of their statements have helped us kind of drive the work that we're doing. So you can see how the pillars that we've created are also really connected to that foundation, which is our Litchfield learner, continuous learner, content expert, communication, teamwork, and problem solving. We know that middle school is really that critical window for intervention. It's when they start forming their own identities, and that's really when they start developing those interests and passions. And so we know that that is where we need to intervene to help them to develop some of those interests for themselves and to identify what those interests are and help cultivate those passions. So with that, we wanted to build a really cohesive, immersive ecosystem. So along with the career exploration course for middle school, we also wanted to tie it into creating an alignment with any field trip. So we started that this year, where groups that were taking field trips had to connect it with a career exploration part as well. So if they went to the zoo, they needed to connect it to a zoologist and have that zoologist kind of talk to them about how they got into the profession. So really tying in the field trips to that. We started doing school-wide events. And so we had several touch points of school-wide career exploration events. And then we did some virtual extensions where we had guest speakers coming in. And so that was all what we kind of laid the foundation with this year, along with introducing some career exploration in K-5 as well. So then our big task for this year was going to be creating a middle school course. And I went out and I was able to put together this amazing team where we partnered with certified and classified, as well as admin from within Litchfield. But we also reached out to our community and business partners and our high school partners as well. So you can see all of the different organizations that we had represented on the committee and the work that we were doing together. So we really started with what is our vision? What's our purpose for this middle school course? So we started with that, and then that led us into everything else. And we kept saying, okay, if we're saying this is our vision, then the next pieces all have to meet that. So we started with the vision, then we really looked at what was the structure in middle school going to look like. Was it going to be one course, two courses, three courses, a year long? How are we going to make that work? And that's actually where a lot of our time got spent, because that's the logistical piece. But we got to figure it out. Then we need to select curriculum and course content. We gathered some feedback and making final recommendations. So this is the vision that our team came up with, and I think it's just such a beautiful statement. All LESD 79 middle school students will receive high quality, developmentally appropriate career explorations that spark curiosity, allow them to explore their passions, broadens possibilities, and empowers students to discover unique future pathways to success. And I think it was so empowering that they said all middle school kids, all of them, not just a select group, not just a this school or that school. We want all. So then we moved into the operational reality piece. And after getting feedback from some of our administrators and counselors or advisors on how classes would be structured, we really came down to a minimum versus a recommended course. So we are recommending a minimum of 9 weeks in 6th grade and a minimum of 9 weeks in 7th grade. And then we would love it to be a 3-year course. But we also know by 8th grade, they're already kind of making some of those decisions. So we wanted to make sure that they got those 2 courses before they had to make those decisions for high school. We also looked at some staffing, and we recommended that because we knew we weren't going to be able to get additional staffing for it. Each of our middle schools has a designated media specialist, and we felt that that role would be perfect to incorporate these classes. It's already a specials in the middle school, so it kind of falls perfect. But we are also leaving it open to our campuses to decide how they want to staff that and to run that. But the minimum is that it's going to be a 9-week course for 6th and for 7th grade. So for year 1, which was last year, we really started, last year we started with our K-5, and through our media aid classes, they were introduced to 1 to 2 lessons for the year in each grade level, starting in kindergarten. And we used the Possible Futures curriculum, which is from the Center for the Future of Arizona. So we use that with them. So for next year, we are looking at expanding that for K-5 into our gen ed classrooms, especially through our science curriculum, because the science curriculum, every lesson has a STEM and college career readiness connection with it. So they're introduced to a scientist or a field through science as well. And we'll continue having our students be provided those lessons with our media aids and kind of expanding those as well. So in 6th grade, next year, 6th grade will get 6th, 7th, and 8th grade will all get course 1. The following year, year 2, incoming 6th grade will get course 1, 7th and 8th grade will get course 2. And then the following year after that, year 3, 6th grade will get course 1, 7th grade will get course 2, and then we'll use that 8th grade year to kind of catch up students who might not have gotten course 1 or 2. So that's what the next 3 years looks like with middle school.
Can I just ask for some
Yeah.
clarification? So the slide says year 1 is the current school year we just wrapped
That
up,
is
but you're saying that's actually not accurate. This has not started yet. This time.
It's incorrect. I should have included that. That was this, it's upcoming year. So
Okay,
it's
so year 1 is actually 26, 27.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And these are the partners that we have looked at for curriculum. And there is so many resources out there, and they're basically free. All of them are free to us to use. They even provide us with professional development. So we'll be able to create a PD plan for all of our middle school teachers that are doing our course throughout the year. So the curriculums that we'll be pulling from, and it's going to be a little bit from all of them, is JA Inspire, My Future AZ, which is Pipeline AZ is the group. Some from the Center for the Future of Arizona. They actually partner with My Future AZ. ABEC, which is actually undergoing some changes right now. And then resources from ADE as well. Because one of the things that I think is really wonderful about this is there are actually K-8 career literacy standards from the state. So all of this will be connected to our state standards as well. Let me go back to that one slide. The other thing is in that first course, one of the non-negotiables is that they will be participating in the ECAP, which is the career and education plan that is by law required for all high school students to do. But what's nice is we will do kind of an ECAP light version that they will get to start developing in middle school so that when they are ready to do their ECAP in 9th grade, so much of that will transfer over. So they'll be ahead on that plan as well. The other part of that is the first part of course 1 will be kind of an overall general introduction to the clusters of career exploration. So there are 16 of those. So they'll be kind of introduced to all those. And then we're going to really hone in on 2 of the big clusters in course 1. And then in course 2, the plan is that they will get 3 additional big clusters. And those clusters are like trades. So that would include electrical, plumbing, and architecture. Agriculture is in that. So all of those trades, and then health sciences, engineering and manufacturing, had to think about that. Technology, which includes digital arts as well, media arts. So all of those are big clusters, and then so they will get exposed to all of those different things. I should say also, you know, when we talk about career exploration, it is not about having kids pick, well, I want to be a doctor. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm in 3rd grade. That's what I'm planning to do. That is absolutely not what it's about. It's about exposing kids to all kinds of different things and going, you know what? I love painting. I want to be an artist, but I really want to do it in a magazine setting, right? So now I have a career path based on something that I love to do. So it's really helping them develop their interests and their passions, and then showing them how that might translate into a career. And also what you're going to need to do if you really want to follow that path, and helping them create that action plan. Another really exciting thing is because of the work that we've been doing, we've actually been recognized statewide for some of the work that we're doing. I've spoke at a couple of different things about the work that we're doing, and we've been invited to be part of the Future Me pilot school, and we'll be doing that with our middle schools. It will provide us with a collaborative environment with other districts who are also working on this, and it's really going to help strengthen the pathway for other schools and districts across the state, because this is a big state push, and they anticipate in the next 1 or 2 years that there will be more legislation tied to bringing career exploration into the early grades. So we'll be way ahead of the plan. So our next steps is next week, I'm actually working with a summer team and we'll be developing that first course along with a PD plan, how we're going to implement the EECAP or the baby, I call it the baby ECAP, the light ECAP, and how we will implement that throughout the year. And then as part of Future Me, these are some of the things that we will be required to do as part of being in that pilot. One of the things I really like about that is that they will measure the success of our program through metrics that are going to be used with many different schools. So that'll give us an opportunity to really have a good reflective tool to help us to see how effective our program is. And with that, I would take any questions that you have.
Ms. Moran, do you have any questions or comments?
I do. Okay, so I want to go back to some of the things that were done this year. So can you tell me more about the school event touch points as well as the guest speakers in the community integration part of what has any of this been done already, or this is what you're wanting to do for next year? I'm just confused on the timeline of some stuff in this
Yes.
presentation.
So this year we asked each school to hold at least one type of career exploration event. And we didn't put any parameters on it. It could be a grade level that did it. It could be a whole school event. It could be just maybe your fourth and fifth graders. So we didn't put any parameters on it, but it was a way to get them thinking about how they could bring the community into their school and provide students with those authentic experiences. So a perfect example is Troy Gilbert partnered with CORE and also another tech called Advanced Technologies. They partnered with them and they came in twice and did full events with the kids during the school day. So the kids rotated through each of their stations throughout the day. So that's an example of one of the events. Most of our fifth graders go to JA BizTown. That is another event that each of our, most of our K-5s do. And that is a perfect segue into career explorations. They're asked to take on the role of a professional. Say it again. Oh, so Belen Soto had a truck that came in and it was a way for kid. You tell me, you tell.
We had lots of examples, but
Yeah.
another one that was really creative was Belen Soto did a touch a truck event for their K2 where they had a bus come in, they had a fire truck come in, they had police cars, just lots of different opportunities for kids to have that. Western Sky had many different industries come in and work with students. That was all based around the students who were having some chronic absenteeism and that we saw an increase in that. So as Director Combs was sharing, we really just asked schools to get creative and think about things, the people in their areas that they could invite in. It might just be parents sharing what they do, but the schools did get super creative with how they could look at career exploration in a different way.
And a lot of the events they were already doing. We just asked them to think creatively about how you could bring the community in more and expose kids to those experiential type experiences. Another example is Barbara Roby had an after school club where the kids were actually entrepreneurs. That was their club. And their final project was they designed and implemented a lemonade stand. And so if you went to the evening event for the science fair, they were actually there selling their lemonade. And so all of that was put together by the students. They had to have a business plan and execute it all around the project that they selected.
Excellent. And then are we ensuring that our schools are sharing what they're doing with other schools who maybe don't have as many community partners. Obviously, with Troy Gilbert, slam dunk to have CORE do something with them, but not all of our schools have the same resources. So are we supporting our principals and our staff to make sure that they are having enough or at least comparable type events campus to campus?
Yeah, so at the beginning of the year, they were also provided with quite a few different examples of ways that they could incorporate that, including some contacts of people that were wanted to come out, like begging to come out. So they had those resources, but then as the year went, I asked them to add those events onto a shared document that anybody could see what other schools were doing, and they could reach out to that principal, get additional information about how they were doing that.
Great. So I also have a question about the class itself. So, and again, I guess I don't know if it's user error on my part or what, but I'm having a difficult time getting some clarity from the presentation. So is this a required class, the 9-week special area class? Is that required of all students in 6th and 7th grade?
Yes. So let me caveat that though. Because of the way scheduling works, some kids may not be able to get it if they're taking band, which is a full year course. So there are going to be some kids that might not get it, but yes. So it'll be offered in both the fall and then also in the spring as well. So it's a full year that will offer it, but 2 different times, because most of our campuses are doing a semester course, but it's really 9 weeks because they have an A-B day. So it's still 9 weeks, but it takes a semester.
Okay, so that's how we're planning to work it into the schedule, because I was curious about students who had a year-long special, which a lot of the schools do offer that. So it's not a requirement. We're saying most of our kids, but not all of our kids will take this class. It will depend on what their special schedule is.
It's a requirement for those that can have it in their schedule.
Those are 2 very different things. So I don't want us to misspeak or misreport to ADE on what we are or are not requiring. So I just want us to make sure that we're really clear on that. My personal thought as well, from having a student who now is in the Pathways program in the Agua Fria district, which is where a lot of our students go up through, is that as a parent, I think it would actually be more useful to have students take these classes in 7th and 8th grade and not in 6th grade. Not that we shouldn't introduce that to them, but I think 8th grade, it would be more fresh in their minds going into 9th grade, where Agua Fria has a particular freshman class that they have to take, and then actually selecting their pathways and things like that. So that's just my personal feedback as a parent. Based on what that is.
And we had a lot of conversation around that, and we settled on 6th and 7th because by 8th grade, they have to make those decisions January. So not all 8th grade would even get that second course. And that gives us the ability to also catch some kids up in that 8th grade that might not have gotten those first 2 courses. So that's kind of why we settled on 6th and 7th. It was also the recommendation from a lot of our community partners to do it in 6th and 7th.
Okay, I'm always interested in making decisions that are in the best interest of students. And so what I will say, again, as a parent, is it was really challenging for my child to select even in 9th grade.
Yeah.
So the more pressure we're putting on kids to select something, I like what you said about that we really, and I hope that this is what ends up happening, that we actually are opening it up for ideas and exploration and not trying to pigeonhole students.
Absolutely.
And making sure that they know that they always have the right to change their mind. And that just because they're passionate about something today might not mean that they're passionate about it tomorrow. So I hope that that is built into this as well. My last question basically is about what are we doing to try to make sure that we are cohesive with the Agua Fria district? Because as I mentioned, they, for the last 2 years, have been implementing their new academies and pathways. And it can be confusing for parents who then are going, into that realm. It can mean school variances and all this, depending on what pathway that you choose. So is our curriculum going to line up with what they're offering for their career exploration? Are we working with them at all? Tell me more about, I saw someone was on the committee, but tell me more about what we're doing to make sure that we are not providing inconsistent information or potential pathways between us and our feeder district.
So to answer that, absolutely, we're partnering with Agua Fria. In fact, their academy's director was on our committee, so she helped design some of this with us. And we are partnering as part of the course that we're developing. We're partnering with them to make sure that what we're offering doesn't repeat what they're already doing, but also enhances what they're doing.
I actually think some repetition could be good. I think that giving kids more than one opportunity to explore could be actually useful in this case. Maybe you get more in depth, obviously, at the high school level than you would at the middle school level.
Can I also add to
yeah.
that? Exactly what Director Combs was sharing, that we really did lean on Agua Fria to work through what their academies look like. But we also wanted to make sure that this isn't replicating anything that Agua Fria is doing. We're not trying to do an academy. We're really just trying to give experiences to kids that they might not know even exist. For example, in the construction world, there are so many different options besides just building a building. And so we want them to see all of the different options that could be present for that. And our goal is really around the Litchfield learner. How are we building communicators and problem solvers and teamwork that's built into this so that students can look at all different types of careers? Because like you said, we don't want to pigeonhole them. We don't want them to have to choose right now. We want them to see all the different opportunities that are in front of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a good opportunity to give more options like you're saying, but I also think we should be consistent because yeah, again, it is a challenge. It's a challenge. And Agua Fria is forcing students to choose a pathway. And so it's just really challenging.
Well, and we also know that Agua Fria continues to expand their academies. So us continuing to expand career exploration will just continue to enhance what they're already doing. We don't know what's going to come out next year. They continue to add new programs each year.
Yes, correct.
And we also feel like our program is going to be able to help them as well, because right now they don't have any data of what kids are really interested in. So they don't know which clusters they need to really bolster. Sports medicine at their academies is huge right now. Not to say that it's always going to be. So they need us to help them with their academies as well. And because we're going off of what the state department is already saying is these are the standards for K-8 and these are the 16 clusters, that's exactly what they have to follow as well.
Okay. I have one more question and then a comment. So my last question is, when do we anticipate this curriculum will be finalized? It seems to me maybe that it should have already been finalized. So tell me more about that.
So I'm meeting with a team next week, and that is what we will be doing, is designing course one.
Okay.
We also have the director from ADE's CTE program coming in to also support us as well.
Okay, so we have no reservations that this will be ready to go August 5th or whatever the date is, or the first day of school. July. Sorry, I'm on the high school schedule. July.
That is the plan, and it may be part of it's done. We'll just have to see how much we can get done during our time together, but I do have them for almost a week next week.
Okay.
I think what's also super helpful is we are not starting from scratch. We're going to use all of those
Yes.
different companies that already have lessons built. We're going to be pulling lessons and saying, this is what's going to be used for this. And then we're going to be building our scope and sequence. So we're not creating lesson plans
Right.
from, and then we will be bringing it back to you. So just like
Okay.
we always do for any curriculum or supplemental that does come through, all of you for approval.
So
We need to be
then,
very cautious too, because the people that are going to be the teachers of this are possibly classified staff. So we want to make it very user friendly for them as well.
so let me just ask then from a procedure standpoint. So we're creating this curriculum, but this curriculum won't be subject to like the public review and that sort of thing that we normally would do?
The public reviews for core curriculum, this would be
Okay.
considered supplemental. So the supplemental is just approved on consent agenda, which is still available to any family and to all of that,
Okay.
but it would be a supplemental.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification on
You're
that.
welcome.
My last is really just a comment. So I do think that this is really important work. And I'm glad that we're doing more with this and hopefully doing more consistently, because I know that it's easy for our students to see maybe what it looks like to be a teacher, maybe what it looks like to be whatever their parents are or their grandparents are, or aunts and uncles. But there are so many other career opportunities that they might not even realize exist. So I think exposing early and exposing often will be a wonderful thing for our students going forward. So I appreciate this work.
Mr. Mikes?
Yeah, so the first thing, I just want to make sure I understand. So if I'm a sixth grade student, I'm walking into Western Sky and I'm not in band. Okay, so tell me the elective schedule is going to look like what? And let's say, or so they have this and art, and then the next semester they'll have another 9-week a 9-week exploration along with another elective.
Yes.
Okay.
So the course that we're designing will only be a semester long. So they get 4 choices. Well, they don't really get choices, but they have 4 opportunities for electives. Typically, ours will take up one of those.
Right. Okay. So all year long, they're getting this the career exploration exposure.
Only a semester. So it might be first semester, it might be second.
Within the elective. Okay, gotcha. All right. And then same with obviously year 2 when you go in course 2. And then course 3, 8th grade, the 8th grade piece, it's going to be left to the simple fact that they're going to go back to having full electives, and this is not going to be a part of.
Yeah. And if they
Okay.
missed one of the courses, then they would take that in
Okay,
8th grade.
Gotcha. All right.
I think that can also continue to see how this rolls out and how our students are responding to it. And are they asking, can we have more? We really love this class. And then we could look at building year 3 at that time. It was just a big chunk. So we were trying to figure out what this looks like now, but we're always for continuous improvement. So-
Yeah, and I get it. And I know at some point you just have to step in and start doing things. And so I appreciate that, because I appreciate the vision of where we want this to be and where that exploration can come from for our kids to get, especially in middle school. And I do think when we get there, I agree with Miss Moran that drop off at 8th grade doesn't make sense to me, just from being in the field as well. That's where it could have the biggest impact as they're moving forward, whether it's linked directly to the exact pathways or not to Agua Fria, because that's obviously being built and changed as they move forward as well. I'm not overly concerned with that. It is nice to have those alignments and those conversations, but if the curriculum is built out to hit all those 3 clusters and getting that repetition and exposure within those 3 clusters that you had mentioned earlier, all throughout middle school, I think that's great, and will have a massive impact with it. And then the other thing, like you said, so this could be either a certified teacher or a classified teacher, depending on the current situation and staffing with it. Okay, and then And then that was just, and honestly, the other piece too, I mean, there was a lot of great questions from board member Moran with it that helped with some clarification, but that was the other thing too. I was just wondering about the kind of the tight window from creation to getting ready, that because I know the PD plan is in there as well. And I know you have to just kind of get ready for launch, and having those people ready and whatever that stress level is. And not that we're trying to throw people into some extra stress for the beginning of the year, but making sure we can have as soft of a landing as possible is great. And also, as this is all developed, you can imagine, what does the presentation look like for the parents to hear it as clear and concise of, oh, does this count as an elective? Who are all of that stuff that you can imagine of parents coming in, because it's changing a little bit. So I'm sure that will get developed through the summer to make sure incoming and current parents are going to kind of be clear with the pathway for it. So,
Yeah, and my own kind of personal vision of that 8th grade year is maybe having students at that point being able to do some kind of capstone project or a larger community project. So they've taken what they've learned those 2 years and explored and really applying it in a real authentic kind of project-based learning outcome. That's what I envision as that last year, but we have to see how it comes together. And then to your other point, it does seem like we're behind since the curriculum's not developed at this point, but we really wanted to take our time to make sure that we got it right, that we got best practices, that we really built the why we need this and how we're going to give it to our schools in a meaningful and impactful way. So we really wanted to be intentional.
okay, thank you.
Madam President, if I could add kind of to some additional clarification to Ms. Moran and Mr. Mike's comments around the academy model at Agua Fria. We've had some pretty heavy conversation around where they are, where we are, and potentially what we could continue to do to support students leaving us that go into their academies. A conversation that Mr. Nallen and I had together with our team was, maybe there are, which we know there are, we just haven't explored it yet. There are elementary schools that run a model of sorts similar to the academies. They build their kids up in preparation for the high school academies. Those don't exist currently in Arizona, but they are part of that network that Agua Fria is in. And so Philip and I talked about, well, maybe that's something we need to explore one day, depending upon their success, and of course, depending upon how our kids respond, as Ms. Combs said, to our ideas. But just know that conversation is out there.
And our main goal for this right now was just to make sure kids knew what was available to them, because they're leaving right now and they don't know what's available to them in the academies. So we were doing a disservice to them by not even exposing them to what was a possibility for them. And so that has to be one of our top priorities, is making sure our kids know what's available to them and have explored some of those interests and passions so that they can start moving in that pathway to go into one of those academies.
Mr. Owens?
Thank you. I appreciate the other questions asked by the board members previously. That helped with a lot of clarification. I am still kind of stuck on a little bit on the required yet not everyone's going to do it, I guess, aspect of it. It's particularly like band, for example. I think that just seems weird to me. I know that I don't want to if this is important and we think this is important and it's needed, like you didn't think it was a want, it's a need, then we don't want to miss any child. But also in the same aspect, kids in 6th, 7th, 8th, they know their passion. It could be the band, and we don't want to sacrifice that. So I think that that's where like, oh, this is their passion. Let them, don't make them sacrifice this to take this to learn about other stuff. but we're telling everybody else they need to learn this stuff. So that's where I'm kind of hung up a little bit, to find a way to make it that everybody gets what we think they need, but also what they want.
And some of it truly comes down to the way that we have to staff things. And, you can only put so many kids in a class, and you only have so many periods, and you only have so many staff members that are teaching that course. So it's really building that course to maximize the amount of kids that we can expose to it within our limits that we have, our current reality.
This is something that we can go back and look at. It isn't possible for every student, for example, at Western Sky, to be able to get this. That's just not feasible within that structure. So we can go back and look to see, is this one course that they have to take sometime during their middle school career, and then is there more of an ECAP or an opportunity to extend it maybe to the year 2 for some students and maybe not all? Maybe everybody has to take course 1, and then we look at course 2 as an optional course that they could choose. But we can go back and look at that to see what that could look like and how we can clearly identify who is taking it and how often. Because I do agree that every child should have it, but it's not feasible to do every child in 6th and in 7th grade, especially at a campus like Western Sky.
The way we have it structured right now, I'm fairly certain that all students will be able to get course 1 within those 3 years.
Thank you.
Ms. Wallace?
First of all, I think that any career exploration is better than no career exploration, which is potentially where we're starting from. So I appreciate there being some thought behind that. And I agree with Jen Ben's statement about giving them exposure to all of the things they don't know exist. Just this year, my husband and I did a presentation at Palm Valley for the JA BizTown about the whole financial sector of jobs, and just exposing kids to how many jobs are in that sector. It's not just working at a bank or the very small things that they see in their day in their lives. And so I do agree, like, for them to be able to understand what's out there, we need to start somewhere. So I appreciate starting somewhere. I think that Miss Moran and others have shared some good things to think about as far as how can we make sure that this is available to all students and potentially with equal exposure on the different campuses. While some campuses, obviously, that's going to be harder than others. But again, I definitely feel that starting somewhere is better than not starting. So I appreciate the work going into it and being able to expose our students to just what's out there when most of the time they really don't know most of the jobs that could be available to them in their future.
Okay, where to start? One, I agree. I like that we're having this exposure for our students, and I think we should do it at all grade levels. I also agree. I don't want our students to feel like they are being pushed into any specific pathway. It is not as important to me that we are perfectly aligning with Agua Fria, because I do feel like those students are getting pushed towards one path at an early age in their education, when they should be figuring out what are they into and exposed to lots of things. So I'm glad we can kind of give our students that beforehand. I too am having a hard time wrapping my head around it's required not. So it's not. To me, what you're telling me is we have decided to add an extra elective for our students, or specials or whatever for them, and that's basically what this is going to be. But I am concerned our students who like to do band and PE will now never get to do this. If they want to have a full year of PE and a full year of band, that will just never be an option for them. And it should be. So I do think we have to go back to what's important to us as a district. Like, what is our priorities and what is it that we want our students to have when they leave us? And if this is it, which our community has told us it's important to them, then we have to figure out how to adjust our schedules for our students, which I think will be challenging because we've already taken some time away from the middle schools by adjusting our calendars last year. So it would be difficult to figure out how to do that. Plus, staffing would be also difficult as we're going through cuts with budgets and things like that, figuring out how to add another person. But we have to figure it out if this is what's going to be important to us or what we're going to take away, right? I do think we need to get some more information on the curriculum for us to look at, just for us to know what that looks like going forward. And I do like the fact that we're going to be ahead of the game. If this is going to be coming from our legislature eventually anyways, that we're being proactive. That's a big thing for me. I love that we're being proactive in that regard. So I think there's going to be a lot of questions. I'm cautiously optimistic to see how this will work out next year because I do think it's a good thing. I am curious as to how we're going to handle the elementary schools. We talked a lot about middle schools, but we're saying this is going to go K through 8. This year, we didn't put any rules for our schools and how they were going to have their events or whatever. Is our plan to have them be required to do events next year and give them some more specific guidance on what they need to do? Or is this going to be another whatever you want to do, however you want to do it kind of situation?
I think our current plan is, again, those touch points, but the K-8, the K-5 are being exposed in their media aid class with designated lessons as well that really touch on interest, knowing themselves and problem solving and communication. So it's those skills that they're being introduced to in K-5. But I do think the plan is we're still leaving it as a touch point without the parameters of exactly what that looks like, but that each campus does do it.
Okay, and then for our media teachers, have we kind of talked to them throughout this year about what that's going to look like for them next year to be doing that? Or
They
is
did it last year as
Okay.
well. So they already have a year of implementation.
Okay.
And they've also received professional development on it. And our district media specialist is supporting them in that endeavor as well.
Okay, so this isn't like we're adding a new thing for them. to
In
have to do.
K-5 that they've been doing it for the full
K5,
year.
right? Yeah, K5. That's what I was talking about.
Okay.
No, I
Yeah.
know you meant K5.
Middle school is aware it's coming. We invited every single middle school media aide to be a part of this committee as well. And we did have some take us up on that.
Yeah.
And then some are coming in for some of the summer work as well.
Okay. I'm sure that I will have more questions as we move along in this, but I'm good for now. And I think my other board members asked some good questions. So thank you for working on this. This is a lot to undertake and trying to make it work well and be something that's going to be engaging for K through 8 kids and that it's something that's meaningful to them and not taking away from some valuable learning time because we know that there's just not enough time in a day to do everything we need and want to do. So I appreciate all the work that your guys is doing with
Absolutely.
this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we are going to move on now to our information reports. We'll start with Dr. Davidson.
Thank you, Madam President and Governing Board. First, I'd like to start off by saying happy birthday to Director of Communications, Ms. Yardley Zamorano. She didn't make it here tonight, but we did celebrate her today. Also, again, another warm welcome to Ms. Bridget Stockwell for joining our Litchfield team. As we finish strong this year, we're also getting ready for next. Just wanted to highlight a few things, and some of those highlights tonight come with the letter P, just because they do. The first one is professional development. We celebrated and worked hard with our guiding coalition members across all campuses in our district here in late May with Mr. David LaRose. We kind of started working on our scorecards with the idea, and I think Governing Board, you remember we were out at PIR, got to use their facility, but with that idea of finishing in the race, finishing strong, and then preparing again for next year. Some of us had a chance to attend the ASA conference in Tucson this past weekend. That was around the power of positive leadership. So you'll hear a little bit more about that and see how that weaves into our work this next year. And I know Dr. Stone and many of his team members will be attending the ASBO training in Tucson in July. The title of that conference is The Greatest Show in Education. What I also learned around that greatest show is it is the 73rd annual ASBO training. So they've been working hard on the operations arena for a long time. So we'll be glad to have our team there. And if you want to save the date for July 9th as it relates to planning, another P word, July 9th will be when we welcome all of our administrators back and have kind of our welcome back session. It will also continue to be housed at CCV Verado that morning. I believe we're going to have an 8:30 start. So the next P word is preparation. Operations team in particular is preparing our schools and our buildings to open with just a lot of work going on. If you probably see that in Dr. Stone's Friday updates, but certainly if you have time this summer and want to visit, from security systems to fire alarms to cameras to bathrooms, you name it. But the biggest piece is July 17th, and that is when we anticipate getting our keys to Troy Gilbert Elementary School. So we're excited about that. And lastly, the word that I will use is punctuated. And every summer we are punctuated with the passing of the state budget. So excited to see the work that our legislators have done. And a comment that I have in front of me from one of the lobbyists that is well known in the state, it simply reads, K-12 continues to be intact. So there's a lot probably that we would have wanted. There's things that I know other people would not want to have, but the fact that we can set our budget and move through that process in preparation for next year, we're excited about. So thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you. We will move on to reports from our board members. Ms. Moran.
Yeah, I'm going to start with a shout out to Dr. Davidson for his alliteration tonight on his report. Loving it. I also have a P topic to discuss, and that is promotions. 8th grade promotions is the primary thing that I did this month, which is such a wonderful time of celebration for our students, families, and teachers. The new venue this year at Millennium High School has a few schedule and logistical wrinkles that we need to iron out, but I truly enjoyed that full grades with unlimited friends and family in support of them in attendance will now be the norm for all of our promotion ceremonies. So that's a huge improvement. Another example of LESD 79 and our ongoing quest for continuous improvement. So I'm going to close with lyrics that mimic the feeling of so many of our promoting 8th graders from Panic at the Disco. Everything's coming up aces. If it's a dream, don't wake me. Hey, look, Ma, I made it.
Mr. Mikes.
Yes, I too enjoyed the promotion ceremonies. I love the fact that it was in one spot. Also, I love the fact, from being a former administrator as well, to not have to divvy out tickets, and have it free for everybody to come and enjoy a special moment with the family and the kids, of course. And then I appreciate all the schools that, I know everybody has their ways and their traditions of what they do at their sites, but to kind of adapt and come try something new and see how great everything turned out. I thought it was excellent on all parts with it. Of course, I know we, being the Litchfield district that we are, we always continue to see how we can improve and make it a better experience for everybody involved. But anyways, that was it. That was the biggest piece, obviously, as it should be. And yeah, that's it. I really enjoyed the promotions this year.
Mr. Owens.
Yep. Also, 8th grade promotions. Those were really cool at Millennium High School. That's my first time in the gym. Very impressive. I think each school is going to find a way to kind of make it their own and unique and put their kind of own flair on each promotion so that it's special to them, carry on their traditions from their schools. Other than that, kudos and shout out to the summer camp program. My kid's loving it. I think it's so amazing that she gets to go on 2 field trips a week. Like literally every Friday she gets to go to the movies. And they've been to Elevate, and I think they're going to go roller skating. And so the staff's doing a great job. All the kids are exhausted when they get home, which is great. I guess I'll end with Assistant Superintendent Stockwell. Don't get used to these short meetings. This is pretty quick. And Logan, luckily, hopefully you won't get drugged to any more of these. All right.
Ms. Wallace.
Well, not to sound like a broken record, but the 8th grade promotions were great. It was great to see how excited all of the families were and to have it at one location. I think that's super convenient for everyone involved. So great job coming up, whoever, worked that out to be able to be there. That was really great and a great thing that we can continue going forward. I am personally taking part in all of the summer activities with running my kids around to camps and things. So we're all enjoying some different time. It's very different when it's unstructured and we're structuring it, but it's lots of fun making memories. So I hope everyone's enjoying their summer.
I went to promotion, but I'll save that for last. I also, for the month of May, was able to attend the leadership night that was at Barbara Roby, which was mentioned by Director Combs earlier. And it was really cute to see the entrepreneur club and all their stuff that they had out. The student leaders were very impressive. That whole thing was run pretty much by their students. They gave amazing speeches to all of the people attending, and it was just a fun night to see that going on. I also was able to attend the retirement celebration for all of our employees that are retiring this year, and some of them are just retiring and coming back to us, which is my favorite employees actually. So it was also very weird to see people retiring that were started when like my oldest son started kindergarten and now they're retiring, and that seems weird to me because my oldest son shouldn't be that old that these people should be able to retire, but he is, but it still blows my mind. I was able to attend the Burlington ribbon cutting ceremony that took place. The Rancho Santa Fe Spirit captains were asked to come and participate in that. And thank you, shout out to our Director Tassin for driving a bus full of 50 kids that got to come out and be part of that and just knock their socks off. There were several people there from all different places that love to go to these opening events for school, for different stores and stuff. And one of the gentlemen there said that it was the most impressive one he'd ever been to. But our board members that have been able to attend the Rancho school showcases know that their students know how to bring the spirit and the energy, and they definitely did that. So that was fun to be able to attend that. And then I also attended 8th grade promotion, both as a board member, which was really exciting to be at all of them in one place one day. That made my life a lot easier. But the very last one was really special because that was my own 8th grader promoting. So shout out to the girl from Western Sky and from Wigwam Creek that both did solos of the national anthem and did amazing. I am very impressed whenever I see our students that are able to perform like that. And with these being the entire 8th grade class for those schools, usually it's half and half. This time with all of it, that's so many more people that were there in attendance. And both of those were our biggest schools and had the most people attending. So shout out to both of those girls that did amazing. I'm very impressed. And then we had our special meeting for the department surveys, and I'm only bringing that up because I'm hoping that people who haven't seen the department surveys and the results and the presentations that were given go and look at that, because one of the things we talk about is the importance of people seeing that we really use that information we get from that in order to do better, be better next year, and help set goals for us as a district. Dr. Davidson is looking at some of those things for goals for himself. So I encourage people to go and look at that material to see what is being said and how we are using that information to make changes going forward. With that, thank you to all our people that sent in reports. And that is all we have for this meeting, guys.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
I will second.
Having a motion for Mr. Owens, a second for Ms. Moran, I'll call for the vote. Ms. Moran,
Yay.
Mr. Mikes,
Yeah.
Mr. Owens,
Yay.
Ms. Wallace.
Yay.
I'm also a yay. Motion passes. The meeting is adjourned. Thanks for joining us, everybody.